Will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call?
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Mutner?
Here.
Mr. Rowan?
Here.
Mr. Esposito?
Here.
Supervisor Williams?
Here. So joining us tonight, I would like to welcome Assemblyman Matt Slater, who is here tonight to give us all an update on the happenings in Albany.
I don't know if you really want to applaud like that, but that's all right.
For you, not for Albany.
Yeah, that's very, there you go, that's different. Well, good evening, everybody. Matt Slater, someone from the 94th District. Thank you so much, Supervisor, for allowing me to come. I was a town supervisor previously, and so understanding and hearing directly from our state representatives to be a conduit between what's happening in Albany and the impact that it may have here in our local communities, I think is really important. And so I enjoy coming around to the different town boards, just giving a quick update, letting you know what's going on, and some of the discussions that we're having. I was joined actually in Albany this week by County Legislator Russo, so it's great to see you as well, Laura. And she was up for the New York Association of Counties conference, which was really good. And we got to bring her onto the floor and talk a little shop. But so the thing that we're dealing with right now, the bigger thing, and we're going to get to some of the more specifics, is the budget. The governor proposed a budget a few weeks ago. We are wrapping up our budget hearing process this week. The governor's budget sets the tone for the entire process. It is a $252 billion budget, $250 billion. That's $12 billion more than last year. And I just want to dive into some of the specifics on the budget. And forgive me forgive me for a second. I just want to also just point out a couple new things. I'm on some new committees this year. I'm the ranker on the Elections Committee. I'm also on the Health Committee, the Environmental Conservation Committee, and I remain on the Labor and Transportation Committee. And I know transportation is a key point for the Patterson community. We can talk about that in a few minutes. I was also elected as the chairman of the Republican Conference Policy Committee, so I help form and formulate all the policy for the Assembly Republican Conference up in Albany as well. We are trying to build off of our, I think, really successful first term. We delivered more than $30 million here to the district in a whole host of ways, including here into the town of Patterson. We passed the 7th most legislation of any freshman in the Assembly, both Republican and Democrat. And we closed out more than 1,000 constituent cases, helping anybody and everybody we can in the 94th District. So we're just trying to build on all those successes and to provide superior service to these great constituents. But going back to the budget, $252 billion. The couple points that I think are important to hit on. On education, the governor last year proposed eliminating the hold harmless provision, which would have cut funding for more than 50% of public schools in New York. That ultimately never happened. This year, she's gone in the opposite direction, and she's proposed increasing foundation aid by 2% for all of New York's public schools. And so the town of Carmel, Carmel Central School District will see an increase in the foundation aid formula as currently proposed by the governor, if that remains in the final budget. Local government-wise, again, since we're here in Town Hall and having a background in local government, AIM remains stagnant in her proposal. It hasn't been increased in years at this point, unfortunately. But remaining stagnant sometimes is better than obviously a cut. But personally, I would like to see more dollars invested in the AIM program to help our municipalities, understanding the budget crunches that you're all under. So many different aspects of the economy, so many different aspects of our society, really playing a key role. I hear so much about insurance rates that are going through the roof for municipalities that are causing municipalities strain financially. And if we could get more in AIM, all of that would obviously help in your budget decision-making process. But remains flat as currently proposed, not the final. The final is not due until March 31st at midnight, just as an aside. We haven't hit that deadline since I've been there, and in a few years before that. But that's when the fiscal year for the state ends, is March 31st at midnight. Transportation-wise, I am on the Transportation Committee, and I continue to request to be on the Transportation Committee because I recognize the importance of making sure we have a strong voice for the Hudson Valley. Because fact of the matter is this: when it comes to state roads and state bridges, Region 8, the Hudson Valley, according to the last conditions report released by New York, has the worst rated roads and bridges in all of New York. It is a fact. It's an undisputable, undeniable, data-driven fact. And no one can tell me why. No one can tell me why. Because we have the most roads, we have the most bridges, we have among the highest, I think we're in the top 3 in ridership, yet we are ranked dead last in conditions and for state roads and state bridges. And obviously here in Patterson and all across Putnam County and the lower Hudson Valley, state roads are the main arteries to our communities. So making sure that we have a strong voice representing the Hudson Valley, I think, is crucial. We did have Commissioner Dominguez before the Transportation Committee for the budget hearing, and I pressed her specifically on what are we doing to improve Hudson Valley roads. And I'll get to that in a second. CHIPS, which is what the local governments rely on to pave your local roads, not your state roads, your local roads. The governor proposed remaining flat at $598 million. Now that's flat for every town in New York State. Tomorrow, I'll be joined with highway officials and local officials. I believe, Supervisor, I'm hoping you're going to be able to make it. We're going to be calling for, our conference is leading the charge on an increase in that allocation by $250 million. Because we believe that's the right number. With what we continue to see in the impacts of inflation, the construction costs going through the roof, you can't continue to ask to do more with less. And so we think it's imperative that we see an increase in CHIPS funding in this year's state budget. And so while the governor has proposed $598 million, tomorrow we'll be calling for an extra $250 to be added to that number. And that's what we've worked on with our partners in the State Highway Association. Same with extreme winter recovery, paved New York, all those remain flat in her current budget, so no increase there. I will give credit where credit's due. The governor, her signature piece in transportation was an $800 million proposal for DOT core capital projects. That's very important. And that would be honestly one of the largest expenditure increases that we see in the proposal by the governor. The DOT tells us that the core capital projects increase is desperately needed. Last year we asked for $400 million. It never made it into the final budget. And so now that need has doubled. And so at least she's acknowledging that with an $800 million proposal in this year's budget. My only concern with it, and I pressed Commissioner Dominguez in the public hearing, I don't want to see those dollars being tied up in signature projects that you don't break ground on for 5 years. Because we need help now. And I pressed the commissioner on this. If you're telling me that you need an extra $800 million and you're asking me to vote for $800 million more, then you have to assure me that the Hudson Valley is going to see its fair share of money. Unfortunately, the commissioner is a bit of a politician, and she was able to wiggle out of that a little bit. But needless to say, the pressure remains on to make sure that we get our fair share. I was formerly the ranking member on the Education, Technology, and Library Committee, so I think it's important understanding the importance libraries play in our community to talk about the library proposals. Operating aid is increased slightly in the governor's budget, which is the good news, going up about $750,000 from last year. However, the part of the budget regarding libraries that I think is wholly unacceptable is the construction aid money. Construction aid proposal by the governor decreases the number by $10 million to $34 million in total. Here's the thing, we had a budget hearing on this last year, and according to the state's library association, the state needs $1 billion to meet today's needs for our libraries, to help them modernize and meet today's needs. $1 billion, and we're only allocating $34 million. So we're completely missing the mark when it comes to construction aid for our libraries. And I know that's something that our local librarians have been talking to me about and raising with me as well, and we're hoping to fix that as well as we near the final product. I'm going to just stop there and see if you have any questions, and I want to get into utilities, which I know is a big issue these days here in the Hudson Valley. So any questions that you may have, Supervisor?
It is a big issue, and I'm sorry to hear you say flat so many times tonight, Matt. I know you're doing the best you can do in
an untenable environment in Albany. It's just unbelievable. But the cost that Albany keeps sending our way.
Yep.
You know, there are little costs, like tonight we've got on the agenda, we have to modify a policy within our town code to provide notice, and that's good, but that cost me $3,500.
Yeah.
And then you just adopted another law coming out of Albany, not you, but which requires me now to modify my zoning. My zoning doesn't currently permit short-term rentals. Now I've got to change it to explicitly say that we don't allow short-term rentals. Another $3,500.
Just as an aside there was a bill that was passed yesterday that I voted against that changes the short-term rental registry requirements. So we should have a conversation about that so you see what's coming up next.
Okay.
But it's a proposal that moves it from a statewide registry through the local code to a county-based registry. And so the county now, all the counties of New York are being asked to, it's essentially a mandate, which is why I voted no on it, but the counties would be taking over that registry in a sense.
So there's an unfunded mandate for the county.
It's an unfunded mandate for the counties, which is why I voted no. So,
Sure.
but to that point, so you should just know that, that change, it has been approved, at least in the Assembly, and I believe in the Senate as well, as a
Okay.
chapter amendment.
But then we get big ticket items like the MS4 program, which
You and I have
we've
talked about it a
estimated-
million times, yep.
Yeah, you and I always talk about that.
Yep.
Potentially is going to cost the town $250,000 a year.
Yep.
And on top of that, I'm constantly getting hit with shrinking revenues.
Yep.
You know, we try to grow our town, we try to grow our assessed value of the town. Every year, not-for-profits are coming into my community and taking things off the tax roll.
Yep, off the tax rolls, I know.
You know, 2 years ago, we lost a little over $5 million. Last year was $4 million. This year, I'm slated to lose about $15 million off the tax rolls from not-for-profits, filing so
Yeah.
that they don't have to pay tax.
Right.
That hurts everybody. That hurts all my taxpayers.
Of course.
And, we've been looking at alternate means of trying to fund our operations other than, just property taxes, because our property owners can't take it anymore.
Right.
In that vein, I was at the county legislature a couple of weeks ago, talking about sales tax.
Sharing the revenue for
and
sales tax.
Perhaps doing some sharing of sales tax. I'm gonna kind of blindside you tonight, because I've got on my agenda tonight a home rule request.
Oh, okay.
That I'm going to hope that you support. We don't have a hotel in the town of Patterson, but there's a potential we're gonna get one.
Okay, so you
We
need
can
occupancy
remove
tax.
some of the obstacles.
Mhm.
I've gotta do something to bring more revenue
Right.
to the town, and that is one potential way we can do it.
Yep, understood. And also with just as an aside on that, going back to that short-term rental, if you do have short-term rentals in the town, there is both an occupancy tax that's built into that legislation.
For the state.
No, it would be here locally, and also with the county. So,
The
we can
new
talk more about that legislation.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
So, but I hear you loud and clear. I know, listen, we're all facing, the state's facing an affordability crisis. It's completely untenable. A $250 billion state budget. It's absurd. The state's budget is bigger than most countries. And if you look at the comparison with other states, other than California, for a whole host of reasons, right? We lead the nation in all the wrong categories. And so I think we have to be more respectful of taxpayers. I think we have to finally acknowledge the fact, and you hear the governor, like she does, at least acknowledge the affordability crisis, but we need to see meaningful change in order to mitigate the impacts that it's having. And that trickles down here to the local level, which is, again, why I think it's important that we're having this exchange and providing the briefing and information, not just to your town board, but to all the residents here as well, and all the residents, paying attention, hopefully at home, understanding why the decision-making in Albany has many times a cost and a negative impact here on the local level, which is, again, one of the reasons I like to come and just make sure I'm sharing with you all that information. Point right there on the short-term rental bill, which happened yesterday.
Yep.
So things do change fast.
They do.
Any other questions that any of the board
Anybody
members
else?
might have?
Not a question, just a comment, Matt. I want to thank you for continuing to be a staunch advocate for our lakes with
Yeah.
the algal problems that we've been experiencing.
Yep.
I've seen many posts that you've done, and I've seen your words up in Albany, and it makes a difference. I think it's important that you continue to push for that funding. As you know, right here in
Yep.
Patterson and Putnam Lake, we
Yep.
have some issues that we're looking to contend
Putnam
with.
Lake, right?
And
I know
yeah.
it. I know it.
And I just want to thank you for that. I know that you understand the issue, and I know that you're part of the solution, so thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the harmful algal bloom issue, you know, Rich knows, supervisor knows that I've been talking about this since I ran for supervisor.
Sure.
And when I'm on the Environmental Conservation Committee, and the DEC Commissioner was before us for the budget hearing, and I went right after him on what we're doing about HABs. Because you can't just hope the problem goes away. We're meeting with DEC in March, I believe in probably the next week or two, and we're talking about HABs, and we're also talking about the septic replacement program.
Right.
Both of which we need to make sure that not only are our communities benefiting from, but we're also getting the investment from the state, and we're also opening up, especially from the septic replacement program, that we're including more water bodies and more communities here in the lower Hudson Valley to benefit from that program. Because there is new technology out there that the supervisor and I have discussed that would be very beneficial for the residents here in Patterson, around Putnam Lake, but we also have to have a willing and equal partner in the state to help our homeowners afford those upgrades. And so that's something that we're very, very focused on, and we're making sure we're having the right conversations about.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely, and thank you for your help and partnership as well.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Matt, do you have any more information on the utilities?
Yeah, I've got a whole, we can spend a whole hour about it, and so you tell me when you're ready. I can start.
Well, is
whenever
there
you're ready.
anything that can be
Yeah,
done?
so
I mean,
let's talk about NICEAG.
20%?
Yeah, it's so painful. My phone has not stopped ringing from constituents all over the district receiving the bills. And I'm sure you're getting them as well, right? People expecting a $150 bill, $200 bill, and it's $1,000. And I've got seniors who are calling on fixed income saying, well, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to keep my lights and my heat on and pay for my medication? And no one should be put in that position. It's wrong. So what's happening? I've spent more time on the phone getting briefed on it than I can really describe. Bottom line is this: there's been the temperature this year is 15% colder than it was last year, and because of the colder weather, it becomes a supply and demand issue. Colder weather means that the natural gas supply is in greater demand, and so the cost to generate electricity skyrockets because we rely on natural gas predominantly now to generate our electricity. And the energy policies, frankly, from the state are just backwards. Okay? And so when the cold weather hits, demand goes up, and so they charge a premium on the natural gas side. That's what you're seeing. And so from NICEAG's standpoint, and I'm not a representative of NICEAG, I'm not here to defend NICEAG, I've been yelling and screaming at them for the last 2 weeks. So trust me, I'm not here on their behalf. They are approved for a delivery rate. That is what the Public Service Commission approves. They have a 3-year rate case that they're in the middle of right now. The supply rate is charged by those generating the electricity and is passed through NICEAG. It's not NICEAG's charge. And it's passed through NICEAG to the ratepayer. So if, the Williams, electric generation plant costs more to generate that electricity, the cost is passed on from the Williams generation plant to NICEAG to you, the ratepayer. And that's what people are seeing. New York State does not regulate the supply charge like they do the delivery charge. But there's a couple of things that we've found. The biggest thing being there are 2 types of meters, and I'm not talking about smart meters. Forget the smart meter discussion. It is the standard meter versus the day-night meter. Okay? And you can see this on your bill.
If I could just jump in, they're both smart meters. It's the programming within the meters.
Correct.
So
Thank
everybody
you.
has the same meter. It's
Right.
the internal programming.
Right. So those who are on day-night meters are the ones who are being crushed. Absolutely crushed right now. Because NICEAG is not allowed to hedge like they do for the standard meters on the supply side. So they're able to mitigate the impact. They're able to mitigate the hit. And I've seen all the graphs. The supply charge for standard meters is kind of like doing this. The supply charge for the day-night meters is doing this. And so that is one of the key elements that I think ratepayers are able to deal with here locally, because you can actually switch from a day-night meter to the standard meter. But one of my gripes is when you call NYSEG, they don't tell you that. So I'm telling it to you. Switch. Because they do have certain things in place that they are able to, again, mitigate that standard meter supply rate hit that they can't do currently on the day-night meters, which we're going to be addressing tomorrow with a letter to the governor highlighting this specific issue. So we've really drilled down into what's the issue, what's causing it, what people can do. The day-night meters, the thought behind the day-night meters when they were implemented, my understanding is they want people to switch their behavior and consumption to off-peak times. So they're charging you more on peak so that you make the conscious decision to then run your appliances in off-peak, except it's not working. It's just not working. Now, if you want to go on a broader energy policy discussion, we do not have enough baseload power in New York State, period, end of conversation. That's not hyperbole. That is a report from the independent systems operator. So when you think about things like Indian Point, this is what the impact is of losing Indian Point. You're losing baseload power. And that's as best I can give you on the Cliff Notes version of why people are getting crushed by these outrageous utility bills. I think we need a course correction. We need to generate more baseload power desperately. The governor in her budget proposed doing some new micronuclear sites upstate. That's a step in the right direction. It absolutely is. But those types of projects are not going to happen quickly. And right now, ratepayers are suffering. And so, we've been putting a lot of pressure on the PSC, a lot of pressure on the governor. To the south of us, Con Ed proposed their new rate case. And I'm not going to lie to you, NYSEG is getting ready for another one too. There's another rate increase that kicks in May, and then they're going back to the PSC for another 3-year rate case after that. So we have a serious problem, and I've been talking about, in my circles, I've been trying to say, hey, the one issue no one's talking about in this state that has a dramatic impact is the energy policies. Because if you can't power the state without bankrupting everyone, I don't know what we're doing. And there's just seems to be no real acknowledgement yet until Con Ed, which is mostly in New York City and southern Westchester, is now trying to jack up the rates by 12%, gas and electric. So now it's a problem because it's impacting the right people, quite frankly. So there's got to be a course correction. But in the meantime, I would encourage people to look at those day-night meters. I'll also tell you, Kira, what was the date? March 13th. We have 2 pop-up events that we were able to get NYSEG to agree to. So there will be customer service representatives from NYSEG that you can meet with in person. And that's March 13th in Carmel Town Hall from 1 to 3 and 5 to 7. So anyone can show up to the Carmel Town Hall on March 13th from 1 to 3, 5 to 7, bring your bill with you. And they will review your bill. They'll make sure there's no discrepancies, I have seen errors, not many, if at all. But they will review your bill. But then you can also there work with them to switch from day-night to standard. So again, March 13th, Carmel Town Hall. We chose Carmel Town Hall because it's the most central spot in the district, and my entire district are NYSEG customers. So we're trying to figure out the right place to put it. But Carmel Town Hall, March 13th, 1 to 3, 5 to 7. Bring your bills.
So as the weather warms up, will the bill go down?
Yeah, and you can see it. It's cyclical. You can absolutely see when the weather improves. However,
Heat wave.
there you go. In the summer, you see it once again bounce up because everyone's on the AC, right? And so that demand on the grid, it triggers that supply and demand issue again.
So, and has the message gone to the governor about, what are we doing trying to force electric vehicles down our throats?
Oh, please, don't even get me started. I mean, if you don't have enough power today to meet today's demand, how do you actually look at someone straight-faced and say, but you should be all electric. We should have EV school buses. We should have all electric houses. it doesn't work yet. It doesn't work. Maybe down the road, but not now. And it's shameful that people are being put in the positions they are. And that's what's happening. So that's what's going on with the utility right now.
That was good information, thank
Yes.
you.
So, any other questions? I hope I was able to explain it. It is very technical.
No, but I do want to thank you for organizing that meeting with NYSEG and all the supervisors. So
Yes,
we did
I
have
forgot to mention that. And
a
also,
better
the supervisor
understanding.
signed a letter that we sent to the governor with every supervisor from the 94th Assembly District saying these exact things. Basically, it's not working. We're getting crushed. What are you doing? We need action. And yes, Supervisor Williams' name is on that letter. So thank you for signing that.
My pleasure. So,
Any other questions that I might be able to answer? I can talk prisons too, because we've had a prison crisis in New York State. It's been a fun
We
week.
should stay away from the prisons right about now.
Okay. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, but thank you so much as always for being great hosts and great partners for the community. And please know, if there's anything that anyone needs, just reach out. And we are very proud of the customer service and constituent services that we provide to the people in the 94th District. And I look forward to seeing your home rule.
you will, shortly.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's audit some bills.
Sure, I'd like to approve abstract number 3 dated February 14th, 2025 in the amount of $1,572,109.90. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Budget transfer?
Budget adjustment request number 3. This budget adjustment is necessary.
Sorry, Mary, take that mic a little closer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Is it on? I think it's on. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I think it was had a little short. Okay. You got the audit of the bills? Is that okay? Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. This budget adjustment is necessary to carry forward year-end 2024 highway machinery capital budget balances for the 2 plow trucks on order. They were not received in 2024, and only one has been received to date. So we'd like to increase the appropriated fund balance $502,247.54, and increase the highway machinery, equipment, and capital outlay
It's, just off again.
$502,247.50.
Mary, you want to pull your mic again? I'm sorry.
There's something wrong with it.
sorry.
It's in my mouth.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve budget adjustment request number 3 dated February 26, 2025. So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Okay. Here. So we have a proposal that I would like to make a motion that we accept the proposal for Playground Medic to do the required inspection of Veterans Memorial Park at 65 Maple Avenue, Patterson, New York, in the amount of $1,000. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next thing on my agenda is, prior to this meeting at 6:15, we interviewed Juan Kambisaka. You said I pronounced it correctly in the meeting,
Yes,
but
you
now
did.
I'm struggling. I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution to appoint Juan as a member of the Veterans Memorial Park Board. He will be finishing a 7-year term that is an open seat, and that will go until December 31st of 2026. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sean?
Next item we have relates to our annual contract that we use with Brook Farm Veterinary Center to accept unclaimed dogs captured by the Patterson Dog Control Officer. And it sets a fee that is associated with this service that includes an exam fee for strays dropped off at the vet center. The exam fee is $48. So without objection, I'll ask that this resolution for renewal of the agreement with Brook Farm Veterinary Center be entered into the record as though read. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I
No
was
worries.
reading it, Mom.
And the next item relates to a conversation that we just had with our assemblyman. It's a resolution in support of New York State Assembly Bill A01270 to amend the Public Services Law subsection 44-A and 44-B requiring public utilities to notify customers of rate increases exceeding 40%. Obviously, with the discussion we just heard, any opportunity for the public to be well informed of these happenings, certainly we are in support of. So again, without objection, I will ask that this resolution be entered into the record as though read. So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item, do we have anyone here from Ridge Ranch Farm?
Good evening, my name is George Calcanini, I'm the attorney for Ridge Ranch.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I've represented them on a number of things. Basically, there seems to be a very high level of hostility to farms in this town and in the county. We're currently, as you know, have a pending Article 78 proceeding against the county because of the denial of the farm into the Putnam County Agricultural District. It would seem that there's some retaliation going on against the farm with respect to the access to their records. They have been denied access to their assessor's property card, and their FOIL requests are just being stalled and delayed. And this really runs very contrary to the heart of our policy in the state of transparency and access to open records. And it's through that mechanism that local citizens can have their input into the government and detect if there's improper things going on. And in this particular instance, they're being charged real estate taxes for a non-existent barn. And they've been denied their property assessment card, which should list each individual building on the property and how much of the tax bill is attributable to that structure or improvement as opposed to the land itself. Now, these records in almost every town that I'm aware of, when you want to see your property card, you just waltz into the assessor's office and announce yourself and say, I'd like to see my property card. And the answer routinely is, yeah, they're right over here. Step this way, and if you want to make a photocopy of it, I'm going to charge you 25 cents or whatever the rate is. That's not going on here. They're getting stalled and delayed and being denied the access to this. And that has to stop. My clients don't want, my client, Ridge Ranch, Dr. Hanovich and his wife, don't want to have to file any litigation over this. But if they're continually stymied and delayed and disregarded, quite frankly, you're going to leave them with no alternative. The town doesn't want the fees to defend against an Article 78. They don't want to have the fees incurred to pay me to file an Article 78. So basically we're here to say, guys, just give them the records. When they walk in to ask records, they're public records. Anybody's allowed to walk in and ask for those. So why are we singling out this farm and saying, no, we're not going to let you have your records?
So I have a couple of questions, just
Sure.
because I am relatively new to this situation. I may not know as much as you and the supervisor know, nor the assessor, but you were saying denied access. Have they filed FOIL requests on this and been denied?
Today was the first day. I'm the FOIL officer,
Mm-hmm.
and today was the first day that I received the FOIL request for your client, and we're processing it now.
Okay. So you
Today
haven't,
was
so
the
what
first
you're
day. I haven't
suggesting,
stamped it.
sir,
These are, in any other town, your property card is a
what you're
presumptively
suggesting
open.
is that they haven't been given what they've received, not that they've been denied a FOIL. I just want to be clear on that, right?
Right.
Okay.
So in every
I
other
just
town,
wanna
you walk in
also-
and you say, let me see my property card, and you're escorted over to where
Okay.
the records are.
So, and forgive me, on the property card, does it single out every structure and an assigned value in the town of Patterson?
It should.
It does not.
Okay, so therefore it would take some maybe minimal time, I don't know, I'm not an assessor, but some time for the assessor to create something that is not currently on the card, that might be in another district, or in another area, is that what I'm hearing? So, correct me if I'm wrong, but FOIL and open records does not require someone to create something that doesn't currently exist, but we can create it for you. It's just not something you can walk in necessarily and get.
FOIL does not require you to create a document that doesn't exist.
Unless
But
it's
how do
something you can easily obtain through.
The question is, how do you come up with
Right,
an assessment
right.
if you don't itemize the building? So if there's
Well, but that's
4
like
buildings
saying-
on there,
but
so
you're-
it would have to exist.
Correct, but there's also a way of saying I have a 2,000 square foot home and my neighbor has a 2,000 square foot home and I have oak cabinetry and they have maple, and how are we looking at those to see what the fair market value is? There are some things that are not as easy to ascertain, but I want to say
But if your neighbor has a separate freestanding barn and his house,
it's
there's gotta
listed
be a
as a
figure
separate
for
house.
that barn.
I understand.
That's exactly what we're talking about
Well,
here.
it sounds like we're going to be trying to get you that information. So I want to just be clear, because you started out pretty aggressive, in my opinion, or strong, if I will,
Well,
with some accusations about people not caring about open
it would
government.
seem that this is a retaliation for the Article 78.
Sir, with all due respect, a representative of your client approached me, asked to meet with me. It was 2 hours. I asked her to wait 2 hours because I was in the middle of something. She came in. We had, I thought, a fairly reasonable conversation. I explained to her that to get the record, she needed to file a FOIL request. But she is also looking for us to create something. Now, she had approached the assessor on doing that, and the assessor, again, is in the middle of reval. She is very busy right now. She said it might take me a few weeks to get there. But she is committed to do that. But she's creating records for you over and above what she's normally required to do. Nobody's been denied any record.
Which logic says there has to be the record that was requested.
Listen,
Because if you have a barn and a house, you're going to have those listed separately. You're not gonna say house and barn, X dollars.
giving you the property card is an easy exercise. We can do it tomorrow. That is not a problem. The problem is the property card does not have the information your client has been looking for.
But
So it's gonna take us a little while to create it.
Okay, and I appreciate that, but my point is, there would have to be that document. It might not be on the property card, but there would have to be a document in the possession of the assessor indicating what value he assigned to the barn, or a shed, or what other structures may be on the property. Just logic tells you there has to be that. You don't look at it and say, oh, barn, house, and I'm gonna lump them together. You don't do that.
So there's another issue that you brought up about them potentially paying tax on a structure that doesn't exist. Are you aware that they filed a stipulation of agreement with the assessor last year, reducing their taxes to remove the mistake that was made about assessing them for a barn that didn't exist? And that stipulation agreement exists. And I provided it to the representative when she was in my office last week.
So is it still being billed? That's the question.
No, absolutely not.
That's what we're looking to see.
And you're absolutely entitled to verify that.
Okay.
And we're gonna work with you to do that. But for you to come in and say the town is being adversarial with your client,
Or retaliatory.
or, yeah,
Which I think is
absolutely. Nothing
really
could be farther from the truth. In fact, your client is conducting activities which normally are not allowed in a residential zoning district. And last year, when this all came about, I had asked them to provide us a detailed description about everything they were doing and everything they wanted to do, so that we could have a conversation with them about maybe adjusting the zoning to accommodate them. I've received nothing, nothing. Because your client doesn't want to work with the town, your client wants to be adversarial.
Well-
And here we are tonight.
I don't see it that way.
I know you don't,
Right.
but you're representing them.
All right. So, we
We've
want to
got FOIL
express
requests.
ourselves and indicate that these should be freely available. And thank you for saying that you're going to get us the records within 2 weeks, was it?
Well, I will respond tomorrow. We
Okay.
have 5 days to respond. And then judging on how long it's gonna take each department, we have up to 30 days.
Okay.
So I want to be clear, right? I scanned them, I scanned the FOIL requests tonight. We received 5 FOIL requests today. Some of the documents are very easy to give you, some have to be created, and some we're going to deny because they're just not available. And we will explain to you why that is the case. I think at the end of the day, you're going to receive everything that you feel you're entitled to, you know, but we'll respond to the FOIL. I assume that we can send it out in pieces. We don't need to necessarily wait. Right, so like the property cards is very easy to respond to. You know, getting all the emails pulled together is gonna take a little bit more time. And as I indicated, some of the records which have to be created, which we're not required to do, but we're willing to do, that's gonna take a little bit more time. But it's not gonna take an inordinate amount of time.
I'm sorry, I missed the last sentence. There's a train going by.
Always blaming somebody else.
I'm sorry, I missed the last sentence.
So getting the documents that may need to be created may take a little bit more time, but it's not gonna take an inordinate amount of time.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
And I just want to go on record that I'm not trying to be adversarial. I emailed you since the moment I moved into this town.
Sorry, sir, can I ask you a favor? Can you please identify yourself?
This is Dr. Hanovich, Ridge Ranch.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to be on record that I'm not trying to be adversarial. I've emailed you since the moment I've moved into this property. I've shook your own hand when you were running again in my driveway on my property and got you 8 more votes because that's how much I believed in this leadership of yours in this town and how much I believed in being open. Like, you were at my house, I shook your hand on my property, and then we go through all this and you're saying that I'm being adversarial. I'm not being adversarial in the slightest.
When we get the letter that we got considering the FOIL request and the access to records, when we get 5 FOIL requests the way we did tonight, those are clearly adversarial actions. And we don't, that's okay. We're gonna deal with it. And there's not gonna be any retaliation because you're asking for records. But I would have to characterize your actions as of the past week as somewhat adversarial with the town.
Well, they come also when I had the town at my property to go over my taxes of why the property went up the way it did. And then instead of correcting that day when it was noticed by the town, or had to have been noticed, instead I get another building CO for a building that should have been dealt with 2 years ago when I actually applied for that. And I was never notified that there was a problem there. And that's where I get to this point where I want to know why my property went up 61% when I built one building that would have equated to 20-something, 30-something%.
So we are talking about last year and what happened last year, are we not?
Correct.
Okay, so last year, there was an error made because there was an assumption that there were 2 buildings going up because 2 building permits had been pulled. And there was a miscommunication between the assessor and the building department. And our assessor went out onto your property and she reviewed your house and she reviewed the buildings. And you entered into a stipulation of agreement about the reduction in the assessment. Do you recall that?
I recall that never being notified that the reason that they were agreeing to a number that was suggested to me was because the building that I'm getting taxed on for the past year was a building that I never built.
But we did take it off.
We'll talk about that later, because
When you get the documents,
your
we'll-
opinion, but that was never discussed with me. I discovered on my own that there was a building that I had a CO for that I never built.
I'm not denying there wasn't an
So
error
I'm
made.
just bringing light to why it may feel adversarial to come up and do these things, but if you were in my position, feeling the way I feel in a town that I love and I'm being pressured, that's why I'm acting the way I'm acting. Just bringing the human element to it. I'm not trying to be adversarial.
Okay,
I'm just
well,
a
maybe
hardworking
going forward,
person that
we
wants
can,
to be a part of this community.
maybe going forward, we can find a better path to be on.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Just a question.
One more thing.
How does something like that happen? How would you end up with a CO or something that's not there?
You're going to have to, I don't have all the specific details, so you're gonna have to talk to the assessor and the building department.
There was 2 building permits that were taken out, and he decided not to build a second building, but somehow the second building was treated as if it was built and completed. I don't know, I don't have a clue as to how that happens.
So to be clear on this, I'm the person that he's speaking of who went and met with Rich. First, Ariel, Mrs. Hanovich emailed the assessor's office asking for a breakdown of structures and valuations, and she wanted a breakdown of building and structures to see maybe this CO wasn't anything. Maybe it was just an error, it was never added to the tax rolls, right? But on the public access website, it shows it's listed as inventory improvements. And I was like, you guys don't have a 3,000 square foot barn? There's a permit that was taken out, but it's never built. Looking back, there's 2 COs. Now, the second CO should have been the one first issued for the only real barn, was issued the day after the assessor went out. Nobody looks at permit numbers. You get somebody from a town and you think, okay, right? And so first I went to she emailed, then she clarified, she emailed again, no answer from the assessor's office. Not we're busy, not anything, just no answer. So that's when I went in. Spoke with the assessor, and she didn't give me a timeline of 3 weeks. I said, is it gonna be, I know you're busy, valuations, is it 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, forever? That is exactly what I said. She said, couldn't tell you, I don't know, very busy with valuations, and I get that. So then I went to the building inspector. I asked him, how does this happen? How does this CO happen for a building that's never built? Didn't know, was gonna get back to me. Another week goes by, nothing. That's when I called Rich to see if maybe there's something, and you can show an assessment card for property breakdown. Maybe this all is a misunderstanding. If there is nothing to hide, why wouldn't you provide that? Because to George's point, there has to be something that shows how you come to the valuation for property. If you have a cumulative total, somebody has to have a piece of paper somewhere or something in the computer that says how that is broken down. And if it was taken off the roll, why do I have to FOIL that? No other county or no other town that I've dealt with or attorney I've dealt with has said, who deals with tax law, has said that you're required to FOIL that. You walk in and you obtain it. So I want to set the record straight. I wasn't given a timeline of 3 weeks. I emailed over the weekend saying I'd rather not have to FOIL this because it's not something that needs to be FOILed. It's not something that falls within that. It's a document that exists that doesn't need to be created. I can't imagine how, and again, so I did FOIL it. I tried to say, hey, this makes no sense. No other town does it this way. The Putnam County Assessor's Office, I called. They seemed surprised that a FOIL was requested. I did submit the FOIL, the mail sent it to White Plains and then back up, so that was, took a little bit of time.
It is online, so next time you do.
The
it,
assessment
it's so much
roll,
easier.
oh, online, it didn't have enough
Mhm.
words, characters. It was limited on what you could put in online, that's why I mailed it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to set the record straight on that, because we tried emailing, asking questions, got nowhere, and then I did what I did because they had went through this, trying to do the nice thing, trying to be passive, trying to do the right thing without involving lawyers, without involving and escalating it. And they've been trampled on. I mean, for the past at least year, Putnam County, Patterson, and everything. So I need to set the record straight with that, and hopefully that gives a little bit of light to it.
I apologize. Maybe you said it, I didn't hear. What is your name?
Cassandra.
Oh, okay, Cassandra. You're one of, I saw your
I'm the
government
one-
legal.
I work there I help them with communications and things like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Little Pond tax correction. So last meeting I asked the board to grant me authority under the state law, which allows me to, and the board graciously did, make changes to tax corrections of less than $2,500. And of course, first one that comes along is Little Pond, which is $2,517.12. So I'd like to move this resolution and ask that be entered into the record as though read,
Allowing the supervisor to sign off on a real property, section 554 tax correction for the Westchester County Land Trust for parcel number 25.-1-4. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Home rule request. So as I alluded to earlier, I'm looking for other sources of revenue other than, having to go back
To the taxpayers to fund our operation because we are just getting hammered right and left by these unfunded mandates coming out of Albany, all the changes we have to do, the MS4 program, the lead survey, the lead pipe survey that we had to do last year, and it goes on and on and on. One of the potential ways we do it, if we can ever get through some of the regulatory agencies with the hotel, is a hotel tax. In order to have a hotel tax in the town of Patterson, they need to change tax law pursuant to a home rule request that the town would make to our state assemblyman and state senator, Peter Harcum. So I'd like to make a motion. Actually, let's discuss this first. What I'm looking to do, and I've given you the proposed legislation that would go into the state law, which allows the town to charge 5% tax on hotel occupancy. Does anybody have any questions on that?
The only question I have is, so we can do a home rule, the county and the state can still do their own thing, correct?
Correct.
Just allows, okay.
Yep.
Doesn't allow us to be precluded
Right.
from charging a tax.
Right.
Okay, no, that's it, thank you.
Anyone else? So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town board to allow the town supervisor to submit a home rule request for a proposed hotel tax for the town of Patterson. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Dorset Hollow Water Extension, we have another change order for work that they are doing out there to extend the water line down Front Street to this building. It involves some modifications we needed to do to the stormwater management system out there. The change order will result in an increase of $2,854.27. So I would like to move this resolution and ask that it be entered into the record as though it was read. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Mary?
Yes, we have a lot of conference requests here.
We do.
Which is very good. Like to see our employees going and getting educated. The first request we have is for the introduction to farm appraisal for Miss Amanda Tompkins, and she will be going to Clinton County in Plattsburgh, New York. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the conference request for Amanda Tompkins in the total net payment of $1,635. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Second is Ms. Sue Brown will be attending the New York State Local Retirement System in the town of Poughkeepsie. This is a employer education seminar, which is probably come back with a lot of information. So this is in the amount of $36.18. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Ms. Sue Brown for April 4th conference for the New York State and Local Retirement System. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I am abstaining.
Okay. Next, we have conference in Westchester Putnam County's user workshop for Miss Sarah Mays. I'd like to make a motion to approve this conference in the amount of $46.20. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And lastly, Miss Caitlin Gallagher will be attending laserfish training. Did I say that?
Laserfish.
Laserfish training. Okay, I'll have to ask what that is. In the amount of $46.20. So I'll make a motion to approve Caitlin Gallagher to attend this training. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Mary, Laserfish is a document imaging system that we use to scan records in.
Oh, okay.
Creates a database that is searchable,
Okay.
and we've scanned pretty much all the on-site records for the planning board and probably 60-70% of the building department records. So
I
they're all in the database.
see that thing back there. Right?
big scanner, and
Yeah.
so we are now continuing that project by scanning in the big plans with a very big, expensive scanner that we got with a grant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so actually, we've been very successful about getting grants to do this, and I believe the town clerk may be interested in doing this as well. Because it just saves us so much on not having to store records.
Oh, yes. Sure. Sounds great. Thank you for explaining.
Sure.
The next item is our recreation requests. I believe that we have only one. And this is a non-bid procurement request form. I guess we were looking for a Vulcan gas range. Sounds exciting.
It is
I
the
see
Meg.
Meg
Go
is-
next to the woman.
Oh, I
We
don't know
all
what's
got to
wrong
see
with this
the
mic. It's a Vulcan gas range that they are, thank you. That the rec center is looking to purchase a new gas range so Meg can continue cooking for everyone. The low bidder coming in was Websteront in the amount of $4,649. So I will make a motion to approve the Vulcan gas range from Websteront in the amount of $4,649. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
When will this be coming in?
I don't know.
Well, so I was just about to say, Meg, are you ordering this, or am I ordering this?
What, do we have to get a PO for it? Like, I don't know how that works.
To Beauty.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We may. We may, so we'll just create a
Do you want me to, I'll
PO
call
number.
tomorrow.
You wanna call?
I'll call them tomorrow, then I'll call you,
Have you been talking to them yet?
just to get prices.
Okay, well, all right, call tomorrow and we'll talk.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I know what a
I've got
Vulcan is, but I don't know what a laserfish is. So you know what I'm doing on the weekends?
Not scanning records. Okay, Jeff.
Okay. So I have a, excuse me, a resolution in front of me regarding policy on release of disciplinary records. Make sure this is here. Let me read the formal part here. Public Policy Officers Law, Chapter 87.6, as amended by Chapter 302 of the laws of 2024, require that all agencies shall have a policy regarding providing a notification of public employees in the event that the agency is responding to a request for such employees' disciplinary records. So,
The supervisor has made a proposal that we amend town code section here, 35.6, procedure for procuring documents, so that it would say that if any agency made a request for a prior or a current employee's records, that they'd be notified within 5 days.
so I would ask that the town clerk publish an advertisement that we will be having a public hearing on March 12th here at Town Hall at 7 p.m. and move that this resolution be entered into the record as read. So moved.
So not doing the resolution, it's just the public hearing.
Just the pub-
resolution will be after the public hearing.
No, so we're doing the resolution, which is introducing local law
And
I-1,
setting the public hearing.
which providing for the public notice and hearing.
So,
Can I
That's what
just
he said.
comment before you finish that? Is it permissible to ask for, that I know that they'll be notifying the employee, but would they also give a copy of what they're asking for to the employee? Can you ask for that? So for
Like a
example,
copy of the FOIL.
a copy of what they're
Of
providing
what's
to
being
the person
foiled.
who's foiling it. Would the employee get a copy as well?
Well, there shouldn't be anything in the file that the employee isn't aware of, right?
But we
And-
had in the policy
Well,
change
that's-
has at a minimum identifying the records being released.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, so this way the employee
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the notification should at a minimum.
verify that's exactly what was in my file that they're sharing and not.
So if he
So-
wants a copy, he can foil it just like everybody else.
Okay.
So I guess my only other question or point is, second,
Okay, thank you. Was that it?
That's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I have here, this is an easy one, look at these pretty pictures. So I have a kind of a public notice on the free rabies vaccine clinic. It's going to be Saturday, March 22nd, 2025, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Park, 201 Gypsy Trail Road. I'll hold this up so that you can get a picture of it, all the details. I can read from here. So you can bring your pets, dogs, cats, and ferrets. I don't know if it's exclusive, only up to ferrets. I don't know. Bring a photo ID, and we're good. Paul? All right. That's all I got.
Other business, any town board member have any other business they wish to bring up at this time? Hearing none, we'll turn to the public. Public recognition, any member of the public joining us here tonight. If you wish to approach the board and make any comments or ask any questions, please approach the mic, give your name and address for the record. You're up. How are you, Scott?
Evening, Scott Seaman, town of Southeast. I'm actually here from the Booster Board of Ed. Just wanted to once again thank the town for what you do on behalf of our students. We did also have a meeting earlier in the week with Assemblyman Slater. We also, I'm sure you did push the whole thing about the electric mandate on the buses. Not only we don't have the infrastructure, the roads can't support them because they weigh 2 to 3 times, they cost 2 to 3 times. He also pointed out that the guardrails are not even designed to hold these kind of vehicles. So I have a feeling that there's going to be some type of drawback, but for some reason they still refuse to think about altering or scrapping it. It's more of a delayed process. But everybody will just keep ahead and keep pushing for it because it's unmanageable just from the cost alone. Updates, the construction, capital projects is well going on. The security vestibule at the high school should be done by next month. And the bids have gone out for the cafetorium over at CV Star, which will be a combined cafeteria and auditorium. It's one item that that school does not possess. So it'll enable them to open up a whole new items that they can do for our students. Move the music in there, plays, and just have all the kids have lunch together. Certain items which just improve the way that they learn. Then we'll be pushing with the general items and working on finishing outside projects. As the cold weather has delayed everything. But we are still working on the turf field and some other items which we hope to see got through in the summer. So when we go into next year's school, all sports will be back on campus. Everything will be back to normal from that perspective. We'll still have other construction, but that'll be maintained within barriers and it won't affect the general running of the schools. We are into budget season. We had our, I think, second budget presentation last night. So that is all coming out. As I get more information, I will bring it to you. And if there's anything, of course, we can do, please let us know. And just thank you for letting us come and give you this information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll open it up to public joining us by Zoom. If any member of the public on Zoom wishes to make any comments or ask any questions of the board, you would unmute and state your name and address for the record. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Paul, is there anything maybe you'd want to come up to the front here and announce to the general public about anything going on in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Okay, fair enough. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nice.